Hi guys, so it's been quite a long time since I have made a video now. I've been incredibly busy recently, I just haven't really had the time. But during my spare time I have actually been working on a really long video that hopefully will be out in the next month or two. But because I haven't done anything in a while, I thought I should do something horror related. I know it's past Halloween now, but I wanted to do like a tier sort of thing of horror movies. I found on tiermaker.com a tier list of horror and thriller movies. I obviously have not seen every single movie ever made, so there's going to be a lot of these that I haven't seen. So I'm just going to go through and rank the movies, discuss the ones I've seen a tiny bit, try not to ramble too much. And I thought maybe this could be something a little bit fun. First, we got 10 Cloverfield Lane. This was a pretty good movie. This was one of those movies that I feel like is really good until like the last 15 minutes when it just becomes a heaping pile of dog shit. The way they tried to cram it into the Cloverfield universe was really dumb, and I just didn't enjoy it at all. But yeah, the majority of it is good. I guess I give it like a C, put it in the C category. Soul Station, I have no clue what that movie is, so I'm going to put it in the haven't seen, no opinion. Reanimator, this is a great movie. This is like just a classic. Really cheesy, hilarious, but really creative 80s horror movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember really enjoying it. And I'm hoping to one day take a look at the whole series on this channel, because I haven't seen either of the sequels, even though I've owned them on DVD for like almost 10 years now. I guess I put this in the C category also, mostly just because I think it needs another watch before I can really judge it properly. 28 Days Later, this is a film that I remember really loving, and I watched it again last year and I was like, is that it? I didn't think it was that amazing second time around. I do think it's a good movie. There's a lot I do still really like about it. But there's like, I just don't really like zombie movies that much. I think that's really what it comes down to. So I'm going to put it in the C category. I think Danny Boyle's done better movies. Sweeney Todd and the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. This is the Tim Burton one. I fucking love this movie so much. I think it's a really great telling of the musical. I think Tim Burton, it was like the perfect director for it, because his like really dark gothic style like fits this story really well. I guess I'll put it in the A category. This is a movie I've also not seen in a while, so maybe if I was to rewatch it I would put it higher or put it like much lower, but for now let's just put it there. Fantastic Planet, this is a film that isn't a horror or a thriller. This is like a animated sci-fi movie. I think it's French as well. It's very surreal and weird. I guess it's kind of creepy. If you like really abstract, surrealist animation, then I'd highly recommend this movie. It's got a really great soundtrack. I guess I put this in the B category. It's another movie that I feel like if I was to watch it again, maybe I'd like it more. But yeah, let's put it there for now. Akira, another movie that isn't a horror or a thriller. I guess it kind of is a thriller. It's like an anime. I would consider it more like a sci-fi action movie. This is a movie I actually watched for the first time last year, and it was a film that I definitely need to rewatch because I had no clue what was going on. I've got it on DVD and I think it's on Netflix as well, so I'll definitely check it out again at some point, but for now I'm going to put it in C. I know that's like kind of blasphemous because everyone loves Akira, but yeah, I'll just put it there. 30 Days of Night, I don't remember this movie at all. I know I have watched it. I reviewed it a few years ago when I was doing like daily reviews every October, and I thought it was good, but I don't remember it in the slightest, so I'm going to put it in D. ABCs of Death is going to go in the haven't seen, no opinion. I thought there was like a haven't seen, not interested bit, but there wasn't, so oh, there is a not interested. Okay, let's put it in there. American Psycho is a great movie. If you haven't seen American Psycho, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I really love this movie. I read the book last year and it's the most fucked up book I've ever read. It's so horrible, so violent, disgusting and visceral. The movie definitely tones down on that a lot. And I think in some ways, I think the film does kind of improve upon the book, but at the same time, I think the book is the best book I've ever read, so maybe I prefer the book. I'm not sure, but either way, really great movie. Arachnophobia, haven't seen, no opinion. Candyman, haven't actually seen Candyman yet, but I do want to watch it, so I'm going to put it in haven't seen but interested. That's another series I want to check out on this channel sometime. Children of the Corn sucks. I watched it a while ago and I was like, this fucking sucks. It's so boring. I don't get the hype around it at all. I think it's just a terrible movie. I'm going to put that in the F category. Cloverfield is okay. It's like a fun monster movie, kind of one of the better found footage movies. I guess I put it in the C category. It's fine. Creature from the Black Lagoon, haven't seen, but I am interested. I really like those Universal monster movies, so yeah, definitely want to check that out. The Crow is a really good movie. It's kind of one that I feel like borders between horror and action. It's mostly just an action movie, but it is very dark and gritty. And it's kind of, it looks like a horror movie. It's like kind of feels like a horror movie a lot of the time, even though I wouldn't say it is at all. I am going to put this in the B category, I guess. Dracula is an A. Assuming that's the original Bela Lugosi Dracula. Like I said, I love the Universal horror movies, the Universal monster movies from the 30s and 40s, and Dracula's one of the best ones. It's really, really great. It kind of feels like a stage play, but it's really creepy at the same time, and Bela Lugosi is, of course, fantastic in the role. Oh, Escape Room, fucking, that's an F. That film was so bad. The thing about Escape Room is it's actually like really creative. Like I think the idea of making this movie based on an escape room is good, and I think the set design is fantastic, but it's so shit. Evil Dead 2 is an absolute S. That's one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Really hilarious, creepy, fantastic practical effects, just an absolute blast of a movie. If you have not seen Evil Dead 2, I would just like turn this video off and like watch all three of them because they're all great in their own right. Frankenstein is another A. I'd say that's in between an S and an A. Frankenstein's my favorite Universal monster, and I think that movie is really, really good. Frozen, I don't think I've seen, but I'm not interested in it. Happy Death Day, I really enjoy the Happy Death Day movies. They're not good. But they kind of know that they're not good. They're just kind of having fun doing their own thing, and it's very infectious. I think I enjoyed both of them. I think I prefer the first one, but there's a lot to like about the second one. I guess I'll put this in the C one. It's like, if I was to rate it out of 10, it would be like a 6. It's like not a great movie, but it's a lot of fun and I really do enjoy it. House of Wax, haven't seen, not interested. I Am Legend. I'm gonna put that in the D category. I don't think that's really a horror or a thriller. It's like just a sci-fi action movie. It's a movie, I guess. It's like not my thing at all. I just don't really like Will Smith that much, and I don't think he's amazing in the movie. But I guess it's okay. Interview with a Vampire, haven't seen, but I do want to watch it. Jennifer's Body. I watched it when it came out, and I was like 12 at the time, so I did not like it. But I've heard it's like a really hilarious satire, and like if you watch it now, kind of knowing what it's trying to be, it's much more enjoyable. So I think I'll put this in haven't seen but interested, just because I think I need to watch it again before I can really even consider putting it anywhere on this list. Antichrist, oof. Lars von Trier is a psychopath. I have seen a few of his movies, including Antichrist. Antichrist is like a really, really disturbing movie, but a lot of it is very slow and methodical. It's like heavily inspired by the director Andrei Tarkovsky, whose movies are very melancholic and slow and kind of very much atmosphere based. And Antichrist kind of tries to replicate that. I think I really do need to watch this one again because I didn't really get it at all. I'm going to put it in C for now. It's not an entertaining movie. It's a very miserable, disturbing, and horrible experience. but I do want to watch it again because I think if I was to watch it again, I think it would click more with me and I'd really get what I was actually watching. Whereas the first time I watched it, I had no clue what was happening at all. Let Me In is a decent remake of Let the Right One In. I think they did an alright job with it. It's Chloe Grace Moretz and another guy in the role, and I think they're good. It's basically just it's almost shot-for-shot remake, but they definitely do take some creative liberties, and I don't think any of the changes they make are actually that bad. I think they do a decent job of Americanizing this movie. I put it in C for now. I definitely prefer Like the Right One In a lot more, but it's fun for what it is. Mama, haven't seen, don't really have any interest in that one. Nosferatu, I'm assuming that is the Werner Herzog one, which I haven't seen, but I'm interested in. To be fair, I haven't seen even Nosferatu, so yeah, they both can go there. Pet Sematary, haven't seen it. I guess I'm kind of interested in it, mostly just because it's a classic, it's a 90s horror movie. It's one that everyone always talks about that I haven't seen, so I feel like it's one that I have to see. Oh, Phantasm. Now that's I don't think it's a very good movie. It's a very cheesy, dated, cheap-looking movie, but I have such a love for it. I think it's so creative. I think they do such a great job of using the very cheap effects to make it look good and make it fun to watch. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Phantasm movies. At least the first 2 or 3 I think are really creative and interesting, but the first Phantasm movie is one that I hold a lot of love for because it feels very cheap, but it has this charm where you can kind of tell it's this guy making this passion project with a group of his friends. It's kind of like the first Evil Dead movie in that way, and I just really, really love it. Psycho, I actually rewatched last week. I'd only seen it once before when I was I think 16, 17, and I did enjoy it. Obviously, Norman Bates is one of the best horror villains in any movie. He's played fantastically by Anthony Perkins, and I just think the whole film is a lot of fun. I did a recent episode of my podcast, The Sunday Movie Marathon, in which we talk more in depth about the movie, so maybe go check out that podcast episode, or maybe wait until I eventually review the whole series, because I do want to do that at some point. Resident Evil, haven't seen, really not interested. Scream 2, I watched this the other day as well. I watched all 4 of the Scream movies, and I didn't like this as much as I remembered liking it. I probably put it in the C category, because it's okay, but it's nowhere near as good as the first Scream. Silent Hill's a D. I remember when I did a review of it, I was like, it's an alright movie, and I don't really hold those same sort of thoughts now. I do think there's a lot of really great creative stuff in there, and I do love the whole Silent Hill universe. I just wish they did a lot more than they did with it. Sleepy Hollow, I'm not really sure about that one. Maybe a C. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I can't really remember much about it. I remember really liking it when I saw it, but when I think about it, all that sticks out is the really bad CGI headless horseman and all this sort of really ridiculous stuff. Smiley, haven't seen. Isn't that the film that was directed by a YouTube guy and has Shane Dawson in it? Yeah, not interested. Suspiria is a B. Yes, I'm going to put it in B for now. I really love Dario Argento and I love giallo movies. Suspiria is a classic movie and I think it's a really great movie. It's kind of for me, is riding the line between A and B. I do think there's a lot that's really dated about the movie, but I really love the color palette. I think it's a really creative and creepy movie, and it's a classic for a reason. Also, fantastic score. I forgot to mention that. And I think, is that the remake there? Yeah. Remake's an A. Really fantastic remake where they do something completely different. The remake has basically nothing in common with the original apart from the rough story. But it's just so creative and creepy, and it's very eerie and surreal. And I think they do a fantastic job. And Tom York, who did the score, did one of my favourite film scores to any film in that film. Really, really good. I was surprised at how great the remake is. And of course, Tilda Swinton is in it, and she plays like multiple characters, I think. And Tilda Swinton is like one of the great actors working today, so it's worth watching if not just for her. The Wolfman, I don't think I've seen. But again, I like the Universal monster movies, so I'm going to put it in haven't seen, but interested. The Boy. The Boy is hilarious. I'm going to put it in F. The Boy is so ridiculous, but it's so much fun because it's just so stupid. The Craft, haven't seen, but I guess I'm interested. I don't really know much about it. Actually, I'm going to put it in haven't seen, no opinion, because I don't really know anything about the movie, so I can't judge. I don't know if I like it or not. The Mist is a D. I really liked it when I first saw it, but I watched it a couple weeks ago and reviewed it on the same podcast episode that I talked about Psycho. And yeah, I just thought it was really boring and dull. Thought the ending was good, but it's another Stephen King adaptation I don't think is that great. The Purge is also a D. I just have no interest in the Purge movies. I think they're really stupid. I just don't get them at all. Signs, I guess I'd give a B. I think it's a really good movie. I think M. Night can make great movies when he puts his mind to it. And I think Signs is one of his best movies. I'd say it's up there with Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense. It's definitely dumb in some places, but I think it's also really eerie, really creepy, and just a massive love letter to 50s sci-fi B movies. The Witch is an S. It's one of the best horror movies of the last decade. In fact, I probably would say it is the best horror movie of the last decade. Robert Eggers is one of my favourite directors working today, and I think The Witch is such an incredible movie. Really, really terrifying, eerie movie. If you haven't seen it, you really should. It's one of those movies that if you go in expecting violence and gore and all this stuff, then you'd be very disappointed, because it is a very slow, eerie and atmospheric movie. There's not loads that happens in it, but I do think it's really good. 13 Ghosts, haven't seen, not interested. I've heard it's really bad. So Tremors, I haven't seen, but I am actually interested in that because I've heard it's good. Van Helsing, I guess is another not interested. It's just, it kind of just looks like a cheesy horror action movie like Resident Evil and Underworld was at that time, and I just don't care about any of that stuff. The Wicker Man is an S for entertainment, but an F for if I was to give it an honest rating. It is hilarious. It's so ridiculous. Nicolas Cage is crazy in that movie. He dresses up as a bear and punches a woman in the face, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, but it's a terrible movie. World War Z is not my thing at all. As I said already, I don't really like action. I don't really like zombie movies, and zombie action it does not appeal to me in the slightest. It's just a very average, mediocre movie that I just had no interest in at all. Zombieland, I guess, is a C. It's fun. It's an alright zombie movie. It's like a comedy, so it's very funny, I guess, but I don't think it's that good. The Lost Boys, however, is a B. I think it's a really, really entertaining movie. I watched it again recently and had an absolute blast with it. It's very, very 80s. It's very of its time and it's very dated, but it's so much fun, great practical work, and that Cry Little Sister song is an absolute slapper. Coraline is an A. It's riding the line between an S and an A. So I think it's very creative with the way it kind of scares the child audience without ever going too far. It's very unnerving at points. Fantastic animation, really great fairy tale-esque story that doesn't skimp on the dark side of it. I recently just finished reading the book actually a week ago, and I really loved the book. It was basically the exact same as the movie. So if you like the movie, then I recommend reading the book. If you like the book, I recommend seeing the movie. And if you haven't done either, then I recommend doing both because they're so much fun. Alien is an S. It's a masterpiece. One of the best sci-fi movies ever made, one of the best horror movies ever made. So great. I love it. Angel's Egg, haven't seen, but I am interested in it. Quiet Place is I guess put it in the C category. It's okay. Now the tier is too big. I'm gonna have to zoom out so it fits the screen. Yeah, it's alright. A Quiet Place. I think it's very stupid, but I think some of what it does is creative. I enjoyed it when I first saw it, haven't seen it since, and I don't really have any interest in seeing sequel. I thought it was a fun movie for what it was, but I don't really care enough about the characters or the universe to carry on. A Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess I'd give an S. It's like one of my favourite movies of all time, but I also acknowledge it's got its flaws. Like, if I was to rate it seriously, I'd give it like a 9 instead of a 10. So I guess like it probably should be in the near perfect, but at the same time, I'd feel bad putting a film I loved that much in the A tier. It's really creepy, really fun movie. It's silly and it knows it's silly, but it's so good. To Annabelle, yeah, I'm not interested in the Annabelle movies. I like The Conjuring, but I didn't like The Nun, and the Annabelle films just kind of look like what I didn't like about The Nun, just like endless jump scares with nothing else to it. As Above, So Below is, I'd say in between a C and a D. I'll put it in the D category for now. I do think it's an okay movie. It's like really weird because a lot of it does it feels like almost like an adventure movie, like almost like an Indiana Jones sort of Uncharted, Tomb Raider sort of thing, of them like going underground, like in like France or something, and then it kind of just turns into a pretty generic like found footage horror movie. It's kind of creepy, but not really. It's mostly just jump scares and shaky cameras, so it's fine, I guess, but yeah, it's not really my thing. I don't even know what that is. Is that the Autopsy of Jane Doe or something? Haven't seen, no opinion. I have no clue what that film is. Black Swan. Oh, well, that's an S. That's like a masterpiece. Fantastic movie. Darren Aronofsky is one of the great directors working today. And I think Black Swan, although it is very derivative of Perfect Blue, I think is really creepy, really disturbing, and just a fantastic like psychological horror movie. Cabin in the Woods is a C. Yeah, it's like a very meta like horror movie, kind of calling back to what Scream did back in the day, but on like a broader sort of like more supernatural sort of like in a more supernatural sort of way. It's Joss Whedon though, so yeah, fuck that guy. Cannibal Holocaust is a B, I guess. It's one of those movies that I think is it's a really horrible film to watch. It's really disturbing. It's really fucked up. It's not fun, but I can't fault the movie like for that, because I do think that's kind of what it's going for. I'd say it achieves everything it's trying to get out of its audience. It is really horrible, really disturbing and gross. But I would never watch it again purely because of the animal stuff. There's like a lot of real life animal violence in the movie, which is just so unnecessary and so disturbing and disgusting, and it just makes me really hate this movie. So I wouldn't watch it again because of that. But yeah, it's really fucked up, and it has a great theme song, which I do actually really love. Child's Play is also a B. I really like the Child's Play movies. I think the first one is probably one of the better ones, but I think I prefer Bride of Chucky. Really great 80s slasher movie, really. There's not much more I can say about it. A Clockwork Orange is an S. It's not a horror movie. I guess it's a thriller, I guess. It's disturbing. Really like shocking movie that for its time was like really out there, and it's still very disturbing. I think one of my favorite Stanley Kubrick movies. The Conjuring 2 is a C. I don't even know where the first Conjuring movie is. Is that just not on this list? Conjuring 2 is alright. It's fun for what it is. It's a decent sequel. It's got a couple of really great scares in there, but a lot of it just kind of feels like they're kind of losing steam. But it's James Wan still, and I really love him. I think everything he does, he puts a lot of energy into, and even if the movies are not very good, they're at least entertaining for the most part. And I think The Conjuring 2 is a great example of that, where it's not a very good movie, but it's a lot of fun still. What is that? Crimson Peak. Haven't seen, no opinion. I'd say I'm interested in it, but I have heard very mixed things about it, so I'll put it there. Maybe I'll see it eventually, but I'm not sure. Dark Water, I've never heard of. Dead Silence, I'm not really interested in. I know I literally just said about how I love James Wan, but I've heard this movie is like one of his worst movies, and it's just kind of just nothing but jump scares, and that just doesn't appeal to me. I don't like stuff like that. Doctor Sleep is a D. It's a sequel to The Shining, all about the kid like grown up, and he's played by Ewan McGregor now. I appreciate that Mike Flanagan, tried to make it both a love letter and sequel to the Shining book and also the Stanley Kubrick movie, but I felt like a lot of the movies, like decent scares, were literally just copying scares from the original Shining movie. Too much of it just felt like nostalgia baiting, and the stuff that didn't feel like nostalgia baiting for the most part was really boring. So yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. Don't Breathe, I haven't seen, but I am interested. Donnie Darko is an S. It's one of my favourite movies of all time. It's not a horror movie or a thriller, but it's got kind of creepy elements to it. It is a very strange and ethereal movie, and it is great, but yeah, I wouldn't call it a horror or a thriller really. Drag Me to Hell I've not seen, but I am interested because I love Sam Raimi. Elvira, Mistress in the Dark, haven't seen, no opinion. What is this? I literally have no clue what I'm looking at right now. There's no way of me finding out what this is. If I zoom in, can I see it better? Oh, it's Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is great. Like I said, it's kind of like Black Swan. It's like an anime movie, and it's really creepy. It's really great psychological horror movie that I think is really worth watching if you've not seen it. I'm going to put it in the B category. But it could go up on repeated viewings. Eraserhead is an S. It's one of my favourite movies. David Lynch is my favourite director, and that's his debut, and it's really, really, really weird, super surrealist and abstract, but it's creepy at times. It's filled with like this unbreakable atmosphere all throughout. It's just really, really good stuff. The Evil Dead remake is a C, I guess. It's fine. I think they did a decent job with it, and it's better than most remakes are. But the first Evil Dead movie is an A. That film is really great. It's so much fun. I think Sam Raimi just like has this really infectious quality where when he just goes crazy, the films are just so entertaining. They may not be great, but there's something about how creative and over the top he can be sometimes that I just find so fun. And The Evil Dead is just a great example of that. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is also going to be a C. It's a fine movie, I guess. I don't really know what else I can say about it. It's obviously not as good as The Exorcist, but it's one of the better exorcism movies. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, haven't seen, no opinion. Final Destination is a C also. I like the Final Destination movies a lot. They're very silly, but they're a lot of fun. And I think the first one is one of the better ones. Friday the 13th, the first one is a D. I love the Friday the 13th movies, but the first couple are not fun at all. The first like two are really, really dull and boring. I'd say it's like not until the third or fourth movie that they really kind of come into their own and become very stupid and ridiculous, and the characters are a lot of fun. And that's like the point where I become invested, because it's just so out there and batshit insane at points that I love it. I mean, I think number 7 is possibly my favourite one. And that's the one where it's like Jason battling a girl with telekinetic powers. Like, that's how crazy the series gets. That stuff I love. First film is really boring. Get Out is a B. It's a good movie, really creative, fantastic writing from Jordan Peele. I think what he did with that movie was really great. Yeah, it's a fantastic film. Green Inferno, I'm not interested in at all. I've heard it's literally just Cannibal Holocaust, but directed by Eli Roth, who sucks. Gremlins is an A. I really like Gremlins. I mean, of course, my channel is named after Gremlins. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's a film that is very, very silly, very fun. It has its creepy moments, but it's just a very entertaining, like, monster movie that, if you haven't seen, I highly recommend, because it's just very, very fun. The Halloween 2018 movie is a C, I think. I do like that movie a lot. I think they do a great job of making it very brutal and kind of reinvigorating the series, like kind of trying to bring it into the 21st century a bit more than Rob Zombie did. It's very, very gory at times. It does over rely on jump scares, I think, but there's some really creepy moments, and I think the music is really great. I haven't seen Halloween Kills yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it. I can see the first Halloween movie peering in from the bottom, and that's an S. I think that film is one of the best slasher movies ever made. I really love that movie. I have a lot of love for it, and I think a lot of my love for it does come from just a personal love for it. Like, just I have so many great memories watching it, and it's a film that I return to every October, because every time I watch it, it just kind of puts me back in the like mind frame that I was in when I watched it for the first time when I was like 14 on Halloween, like eating sweets, like after going out trick-or-treating with my mates, even though we were too old to do it. It's just like, it's very, very nostalgic for me, and I think that's the reason I love it so much. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 is a C. I think they do a really good job with the sequel to Hellraiser. I think it's better than most horror sequels, at least. And then the first Hellraiser is a B. Yeah, I'm going to put it in B for now. Really creative, very hypersexual movie, very gory and violent. Great practical effect work, even though a lot of it is quite cheap. I really like that movie. Hereditary is an A. It's another film that's kind of riding the line between S and A. He's another one of my favorite directors, that guy Ari Aster. He's really, really great. Hereditary is a really creepy, creative family drama, which has really dark horror elements to it. I think it's great. The Hills Have Eyes remake, I guess I haven't seen, but I'm interested in. I've heard it's actually alright. This tier list is just getting too big. I just keep having to make the screen like zoom out a bit. The original Hills Have Eyes is a D. I love Wes Craven, but I don't think that movie is that great. I think it's just I can understand at some point why it is so beloved, but it's just not really that good. It's just kind of a generic exploitation movie that kind of feels like it was just trying too hard to rip off Texas Chainsaw and doesn't really create that feeling that Texas Chainsaw makes me feel. Hostel is a D, I guess. I don't like Eli Roth. That movie is just grotesque torture porn. So if you like that kind of thing, then I'd recommend it. But I do actually think that there's a lot to the first Hostel movie that does make it stand out above torture porn, in that it is a very disturbing and visceral movie. I feel like some torture porn movies were very over the top with their gore and it became very silly, whereas I think the first Hostel movie is very disgusting and grotesque, but it just makes you feel really uncomfortable and gross, which I do appreciate. But I still don't think it's an amazing movie. Hush was a C, I think. It's another Mike Flanagan movie. Good home invasion movie. I don't really remember loads about it, but I remember enjoying it when I saw it. Watership Down. Okay. Is that I guess it's kind of a horror movie because it is very disturbing. It's a film about rabbits. It's an animated film about rabbits. Really disturbing movie because it's like rabbits violently battling each other and like ripping each other apart. It's a film that's for kids. It's a PG and it's really disturbing. I think I'd put this in the S category, actually. I think it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite animated movies. But yeah, don't watch it if you're a kid. I watched it as a kid and I was fine because I don't think I actually finished the movie. Because I remember watching it like years later as a teenager and I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is horrible. Inferno, you know what? I'm going to have to put this on the haven't seen but interested. Simply because I have seen it. And I do actually remember a decent amount about it, but I didn't enjoy it at the time. And I think that was because I had never really seen many foreign movies and I'd never seen any Giallo movies. I'd never seen Dario Argento's work before. And now I really love that kind of thing. I think I'd actually really enjoy Inferno if I was to watch it again. So I'm going to put it there for now. Maybe if I was to watch it again, I'd end up really enjoying it. Or maybe I'd like cement my feelings towards it. But I definitely really do want to watch that film again at some point. Insidious, I think, is a B. It's probably riding the line between C and B. I think it's one of my favorite James Wan movies. I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I think it's quite creepy. I think there's a lot of good scares in it, and I enjoy those kind of like very fun haunted house movies. It reminds me a lot of Poltergeist, which I love also. They're just like really entertaining sort of movies, and I like that film a lot. It Follows, I'd also put in the B category. Obviously a huge metaphor for STDs, and it's not subtle about it at all, but I think they do a really good job of making something that's like very obviously metaphorical, to the point where everyone kind of knows what it's about, while also having some really great creative scares in there as well. I think at some point this list, it's going to zoom out so much you're not going to even be able to see anything. I mean, look how many films are left still. The original It is a D. Yeah, I don't like that movie at all. I think it's so boring. So boring. It's not aged well at all. It's aged well like... It's like aged like milk. It's just so bad. It was made for TV, which doesn't help. I think Tim Curry is really good as Pennywise. And I actually do enjoy the stuff, the kids stuff leading up to the adult stuff. The adult stuff shit. I felt the same way about the recent It movies. I thought the first It movie was great, but Chapter 2 sucked. So maybe I just don't like the adult story as much as I do the kid story, but who knows. Speaking of It, we have the new one, the good one. That's a B. I really enjoy that movie. It's obviously it follows a lot of the tropes that horror movies do nowadays that I don't really like an over-reliance on jump scares. It like very much tries to capture that 80s revivalist sort of thing, which is getting really tired. But I thought this film was one of the better ones that did that sort of thing. And although I do think the jump scares can be a bit too much at points, I think there's a lot of really great and creepy scares in the movie that I really enjoy. Jeepers Creepers, I think I'd put in the D category. I think it is really creepy and terrifying up until they reveal what the monster looks like, and then the film just becomes shit. After they reveal what the monster looks like, the film is just really cheesy and silly, and it's just not fun. I didn't enjoy that element of the film at all. It's probably the reason I didn't like the second movie, and I just didn't bother with the third one because I was like, I definitely would not like this. Ju-on, The Grudge. I'm gonna put it on the haven't seen but not interested because it's another one I have seen but didn't like it at the time, but maybe I would like it now. I don't really know. 9 is a haven't seen but interested because that's like a really weird like stop motion movie. It sounds so creepy and strange that I would love to see that movie. Mandy is a B. Fantastic movie. Super creative, great visuals, and it's Nick Cage going crazy. The scene where he drinks vodka in the bathroom is one of my favorite things in the world. Really great stuff. Martyrs, I probably put in the B category. No, I give it an A. It's Very similar to Hostel, I think. It is a movie that is just basically just torture. It's really horrible and disturbing, but I do think that movie is really good. I think it does what it's meant to do. It's meant to shock and disturb you, and it's horrible. It's really, really horrible to watch, and it makes you feel sick, and it makes you feel awful, but it's kind of trying to do that, and I think it does everything it's trying to do really well. Midsommar is an S. Midsommar is fantastic. I love Midsommar so much. It's derivative, I guess. Like a lot of people say, it's just The Wicker Man again. And I guess I understand that, but I think Midsommar's great. I think Ari Aster did a really great job of kind of making this movie that was very horrible and very disturbing, while also having these great themes of loss and tragedy and trauma and going through a really violent and horrible breakup. It's just, I think it's great. Florence Pugh is fantastic in it. Visually, it's great. Really love that movie. Mother, I am going to put in the C category. I love Darren Aronofsky, but I don't think Mother's that great. Maybe it's a second watch sort of film, but I felt like it's like biblical themes were way too overt, and I just didn't think they were doing anything that interesting with the movie. I just didn't think it was that great. Cabin Fever, I'm not really interested in Cabin Fever, to be honest. Rocky Horror is an S. It's like riding the line of an A and an S. Do think there's issues with it, but I love Rocky Horror so much. I watched it again recently. This was actually the third movie we talked about on the podcast recently, with Psycho and The Mist, and I love it. It's like really great musical, fantastic songs, very, very sexual and very gay, and that's exactly what I love in a movie. I have never, Belladonna of Sadness, I've never heard of it, so haven't seen, no opinion. Malignant, that's the new James Wan movie. It's entertaining as hell. It's so fun. So cheesy and ridiculous. James Wan kind of like goes crazy with this movie. I think the first it's like a 2-hour movie and it's way too long, but the first hour and a half I was kind of like, I don't really get what he's going for here. I didn't really get like what it was trying to go for tonally, and then suddenly the film has like reveals this big plot twist, and it becomes the most ridiculous, over the top, stupid stuff for like the last half an hour, and it's so much fun. If that bit was the entire movie, it would be an S for sure, because it's so ridiculous, so much fun. But yeah, because of the other stuff in the movie, I'm gonna have to put it in the C category. But there's a lot of really hilarious moments in the movie, and it's very obvious that James Wan knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly he wanted to make a movie that wasn't taking itself too seriously, and it's so much fun. Night of the Living Dead, I guess I'd give a B. I think there are better zombie movies out there, but there's no denying the huge impact Night of the Living Dead had. I do think it's a really good movie regardless. I think there's good characters in it. I think the depiction of zombies is very creative, and obviously it's basically just invented the zombie genre, and it's one of the most influential movies in cinema, like past just horror movies, just in cinema. Like what it did for independent cinema and stuff is very, very huge. Of course, it's in the public domain, so it's a movie that you can watch literally anywhere for free, and I definitely recommend doing so if you've not watched it, because it's a good movie. I like it a lot. I definitely think it's very dated, it's very of its time, and it does feel quite cheap, but it's still a film that I feel like you can't deny the significance of it, even if you don't like personally enjoy it that much. Ouija I've never seen, don't have any interest in that because I've heard it's shit. The Crazies I haven't seen, but I am actually interested in that. Young Frankenstein, I guess I put in the A category. No, I'll put it in the S category. It's one of the funniest movies ever made. Really great horror comedy. I watched it as a kid and didn't know it was a comedy, and it terrified me. It like genuinely traumatized me. The same thing happened with Gremlins, because I was a little bitch as a kid. But yeah, Young Frankenstein terrified me as a kid, till my dad was like, it's a comedy, stop being such a bitch. And he watched it with me, and I realized it was a comedy that time, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it now. This is funny. But the first time around, I thought it was just a Really scary movie, even though it isn't in the slightest. But yeah, Young Frankenstein's a great parody of Frankenstein, directed by the one and only Mel Brooks, one of my favorite directors. An American Werewolf in London is an A. It's a really... What the fuck's my computer doing? Really great horror comedy directed by John Landis, who's a piece of shit, but the movie is good. Really creative and surreal at points, really creepy at points as well, but it has a great sense of humor and it's really, really funny. Great transformation scene, one of the best uses of practical effects in any film. If you've not watched the movie, I'd highly recommend going on YouTube and watching the transformation scene at least, because it's terrific. It's so like jaw-dropping effects. Obviously because of that, John Landis ended up directing Thriller because Michael Jackson really wanted a transformation scene like that in the music video. The Woman in Black is an F. That film sucks. It's so boring. It's just nothing but jump scares. It's just bullshit. Pan's Labyrinth is an S. An A, I mean, it's another riding the line, I think. Really great, creative, dark fairy tale movie. Kind of, I'm not sure I'd say it's a horror movie, but at the same time, I kind of get how people could consider it a horror movie because it is really creepy and quite scary at points. Fantastic movie though. Paranormal Activity is D. It's just not my thing. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I just don't like found footage movies that much, especially when they're just nothing but loud bangs like that movie is. Poltergeist is an A. Really great haunted house movie. A lot of fun to watch. Just a film I love. Requiem for a Dream is not a horror movie or a thriller movie, so it should not be on this list, but it is an A because it's a really horrible movie that makes me feel like shit. Rosemary's Baby is an S, I think. I do need to watch it again because I've not seen it in a long time, but I remember it being a fantastic movie, directed by Roman Polanski, another piece of shit. And there's 3 Saw movies that are like not in order, so let's just move Saw. Let's not move Saw to the beginning because apparently you can't. The first Saw movie is really good. It's stupid at times, but I think it's really creepy at times also, and I think it's a fun movie. Saw 2 is better in my opinion, but still a B. It goes much sillier than the first movie. The gore is much more over the top than the first movie, but it's really fun. And then the third one I'd put in the C category. It's not as good as the first 2, but it's still fun. It's very silly. I think just as the series goes on, it just becomes more and more ridiculous, and I enjoy it a lot. Scream is an S, one of the best horror movies of all time. Watched it recently, like I said earlier, and really, really loved it. I couldn't believe how much I loved it this time around. Just fantastic movie. Sinister is a C. It's an alright movie. There's some bits in it that are fucking terrifying. It's like all the Super 8 stuff are so creepy. But the rest of the movie's just alright. Silence of the Lambs is also going to be a D. That is a fantastic movie. That film kind of rides the line between horror and thriller. It's like a murder mystery movie that's really creepy and really dark, and has some really disturbing violence in it. But Hannibal Lecter is fantastic. He's one of my favorite horror villains, and he's great in this movie. It's just so fun. A Tale of Two Sisters I've not seen, but I am interested in it because I like Korean movies a lot. Is that Tetsuo the Iron Man? Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to put that in the B category. It's not a film for everyone. In fact, I know a couple people who've seen it and really did not like it, but I loved it. It's a horrible movie. It's really disturbing, really loud, really confusing. It's just like a really visceral... It's a very short movie, but it's very visceral. It's like kind of stop motion mixed with real life, like real life people. Really weird, creepy and surreal movie that it doesn't stop. It's just really loud, very fast paced. And I thought it was crazy. I fucking loved it because it was just batshit insane. But I completely understand how someone could watch it and really hate it and find it annoying. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an S. one of my favorite horror movies, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Every time I watch it, it terrifies me. It makes me feel really gross and dirty. Just, it's fantastic, I think. The Birds I haven't seen, but I am interested in. Blair Witch Project is, I'm going to put it in the C category. I really loved it the first time I watched it, but I haven't seen it since then. And I feel like it's a film that I'd watch it again and realise it's not actually that great. But I enjoyed the fact that it was a film that kind of left everything up to your own imagination. I liked that they didn't really show a lot. I found that really creepy at times, and I thought it was quite scary, but I haven't seen it since I was 15, so I could hate it if I watched it now. The first Conjuring I'm going to put in a B. Yeah, I'm going to put it in B for now. I haven't seen it in a while, and I've heard it doesn't hold up that well, so I would probably watch it again and not like it as much, but I enjoyed it a lot when I saw it, and I thought it was really creepy. The Descent is also a B. Really, really creepy movie. That freaked me the fuck out when I watched it, because it is very, very dark. The creatures in it are very scary because there's not a lot to them. That's another film that kind of leaves a lot to your imagination, because the creatures are basically just all like, they're humanoid-esque, but you don't know what they are, and that makes it more creepy. There's also a great plot about trauma and loss in there as well that I thought was really good. And I think the film is terrifying. The Exorcist is my favourite movie of all time, so obviously it's going to go in the F category. No, obviously it's an S. I fucking love it so much. I watched it in the cinema again recently, and it's just a masterpiece. I love it so much. The Fly is an A. Really gross movie. One of my favourite David Cronenberg movies, which is just very disgusting and horrible. Haven't seen the remake of The Grudge. Don't really have any interest in it. So yeah, not interested. The Nun is an F. That film sucks. It's so bad. Represents everything I hate about modern horror movies. It's just nothing but jump scares. It's really boring, really shit. Terrible movie. The remake of The Ring is actually a B. Controversial, but I think the remake of The Ring is really good. And I love the Japanese one, Ringu. I think they're both on par with each other. I think they both do kind of the same story in kind of different ways, and I think the American one in some ways I think is kind of creepier. I think both are great. I think a lot of people kind of just shit on the American one because it's an American remake of a foreign movie, and kind of, I think that fundamentally is a terrible idea, but I think they actually did a really good job, and it's probably one of the only Gore Verbinski films I like. It's like that and Rango are like the only ones I really enjoy. Ritual, I think that is. Haven't seen but interested, if that is The Ritual. If it's not, then I have no clue what I just clicked. The Shining is an S, the best Stephen King adaptation, one of the best Stanley Kubrick movies, one of the best horror movies ever made. There's nothing that I can say about The Shining that hasn't been said a bajillion times. The Thing is an A. The Thing is really terrifying. It's really scary. One of the tensest movies I've ever seen. Every time I watch it, it really tenses me up. I really love it. It is very much a film that I feel like could be an S, but I'm going to put it on A. And I think that comes down to my own personal taste, just because I've seen it too many times. When I first watched it, I loved it so much, I wore it out, and I watched it way too often. And I think because of that, I don't really love it as much as I feel like I could have. I think I kind of ruined it for myself, but I do think it is a great movie still. I watched it last Halloween and I thought it really held up and thought it was really creepy. And yeah, I do like it a lot. The Wailing I've not seen, but I do want to. Same goes for Train to Busan. Trick or Treat is a lot of fun. It's a C, very silly, fun Halloween horror movie that doesn't take itself too seriously. It tries to it's very comedic, but also at the same time it doesn't have any obvious jokes. It's just very silly and light in tone, while also being very violent and dark, and I think it's a lot of fun. Underworld I've not seen, and I'm not interested in it in any way whatsoever. Us, I think I'm gonna give it a D actually. I thought it was alright, but I don't think it's that great. I don't think it's not one of my favorite horror movies of the last few years. I didn't like it anywhere near as much as I liked Get Out. It's just, I didn't think it was that good. 7 is an S, one of the best horror murder mysteries of all time. Really creepy and eerie, very violent, but it does also leave a lot to your imagination because it only shows the aftermath of like these really horrific murders. But it's gross. David Fincher is one of the best directors in the world. Cube, I liked. Gonna give it a C. Cube was actually a movie that I wasn't paying full attention to. My girlfriend was watching it and I was kind of like drifting in and out of paying attention. But I did enjoy what I remember seeing, so I'm gonna give it a C. But maybe if I was to watch it properly, then I'd enjoy it a lot. Dracula, I have not seen properly. I remember I started it, but Keanu Reeves' really bad English accent completely put me off and I had to stop watching because it was really annoying me. But I do want to give it another go at some point. Lake. I don't know what that movie is, so I'm going to put it on haven't seen, no opinion. I've not seen a film with Lake in the name as far as I'm aware, so it will probably be there regardless. Wreck is the best found footage movie. It is an S. Really creepy movie. Freaks me out every time I watch it. The Village, gets a C. It's actually not a bad M. Night movie. The end plot twist is kind of stupid, but it's actually all right in terms of M. Night movies. Wolf Creek I've not seen, but I would be interested in seeing it. I don't really know a lot about it, but it could be good. Same with Nosferatu. I do know about that movie, but I've never seen it. The Collector, haven't seen, no opinion. The Strangers, I don't think I have seen either. The Babadook is a B, I'd say. Really good movie, really creative, scary movie that was great until they kind of reveal what the Babadook looks like, and then it's just like, okay, that's kind of ruined the movie for me now. The Invisible Man was not my thing at all. It's a D. Really not good movie. I don't think it deserves the hype it's gotten at all. I think it's creative in some ways, but for the most part, I just thought it was very bland. Jaws, I think, is a A. I think it's a great horror movie. One of my favorite Steven Spielberg movies. Really captures this very like small town feel well, and I just really enjoy it. Carrie, controversial opinion, but I am gonna put this in the D category. It's close to being a C actually, but I don't think the Carrie movies are that great. I think they're okay. Like if I was to give them a rating, I'd probably give them a 6. No, I'm gonna put them in C actually. I feel like D is a bit harsh because like all these movies like I've given like really low scores. But Carrie is okay. I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I think it's decent. I definitely prefer the book, and I don't think there's been an adaptation of it so far that I really loved. I've just thought they were all okay. I thought the original was okay, and I thought the Chloe Grace Moretz one was also okay. That's about all I have to say. The Omen, I think, is also a C. I don't think The Omen is an amazing movie, but I do think it's a good movie. I think it's fine. I don't love it, but it's got some good scares in it. House of a Thousand Corpses is an F. That film sucks. Fuck you, Rob Zombie. I do like The Devil's Rejects though. Misery is really good. Misery is a really good movie. A Stephen King movie that I do like. Really claustrophobic movie, and Kathy Bates is incredible in it. Lights Out I have not seen. I'm gonna put it in no opinion because I'm not really that interested in it because I don't like just endless jump scares that much, but maybe it could be good. Tusk, oof, that's a difficult one. I guess I'll put it in D. I liked Tusk a lot when it came out. It was one of my favorite films of that year. I haven't seen it since, but the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, Tusk is not that good. I think the walrus suit is very silly, but I like it a lot. I think there's actually some really creepy moments in it, and I think it's very disturbing at points. But the bits that really ruin it for me are Johnny Depp in the movie playing the character Guy Lapointe, who is cartoonish. He's terrible in the movie. He's so ridiculous. and it just completely ruins the tone of the movie. I think if Kevin Smith was much more focused on making a straight up horror movie, then it would have been so much better. But the fact that he has to put like comedy in there as well, and throw in all these references to all his like all his life, like all his podcasts and all this different thing, I think it just becomes very confused and at points quite self-indulgent. I love Kevin Smith, but I do think at points he can be quite egotistical, especially in his recent movies, and I think that kind of brings down Tusk a lot for me. But there is actually a lot I do really like in the movie. That's why I was kind of considering giving it a C, because I don't think it's flat out bad, but I don't think it's very good either. The Sixth Sense is a B. I think I haven't seen it in a while, so I can't really judge it too much, but I think it's one of M. Night's better movies. The Void, I haven't seen, no opinion. Same with White Noise. And Audition, it's going to get a C. Controversial, because Audition is like a movie that everyone loves. I wasn't massively into it, but I will give it another chance at some point. I thought the horror stuff was really great, but I thought the rest of it was just too like cheesy and melodramatic, and I just didn't really care. But who knows, maybe if I was to watch it again, I'd really love it. And that brings us to the end of this way too long tier list of horror movies. We got quite a lot on there. I feel like there's an even split in every section, and I can't believe how many of these films I haven't seen, almost to the point where I shouldn't have done this list, because it's kind of pointless that I haven't seen like that many movies. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this new format. I would like to do more tier videos, because this was actually so much fun. It's very easy to make this kind of content, but it's fun to do it. It's very casual. I don't have to really prep that much. I can just sit down and just relax and just chat for a bit, and I love doing that. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love to do more of this stuff. And I've got a big 5,000 subscriber special coming out soon, so please stay tuned for that. Before doing that, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to this channel over the years. I can't believe I've gotten this far. 5,000 isn't a huge number, but for me, it is the whole world. And I can't believe that this many people watch me. So thank you so much for sticking around, watching this video to the end, and watching all my videos. It means the world to me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon for my 5,000 subscriber special.